Today we're back on our mission to check out the best parts of the female body. Today's subject of desire is the Valeton GP200, and I'm going to show you the EQs of this thing. As you may know, I'm a big fan of these modeling units in general, but especially of the Valeton GP200. In that price range, it offers quite a lot of features which you don't find with other units. Especially it comes with 8 foot switches, and it's very flexible to program these, so you can use it in a live situation. And I made a couple of videos about that unit, but one question which I got very often is how well flexible is it sound wise, and it comes with a couple of EQs, and today I would like to show you what you can do with these EQs. So let me open the editor for you. Where do we have it? And currently I'm in my Soldano patch. Sounds kick-ass to me. And this is the effects chain. So I'm using the Scream OD, as you can see, a gate, Soldano amp, the Euban stock cap with a high cut, Bogner Uber cap, as it says. By the way, you say Bogner Uber, but usually in Germany it's Überschall, so it means, I think, supersonic or something, but anyway, you say Uber. And yeah, here we have the EQ, which I will come to in a second. The ambience delay, which came with a recent firmware update. Finally, they got a stereo delay and the reverb here. But before we come to these EQs, I would like to address that this unit has a global EQ, and where do we have it? I don't know if it is accessible here. Ah yes, here you can see it. So this is the global EQ, which is, as the name says, global, so it works for all patches. If you set it, you can use this to adjust it to a maybe different situation, different front of house system. And it's a parametric EQ. So as you can see here, a 4-band parametric EQ and a low and a high cut, I think. As you can see here, the high cut and the low cut. And here you have these four circuits here, where you can set basically the frequency which you would like to adjust with these peak filters. So in my opinion, that is really nice, because it's the most flexible EQ you can get, the parametric EQ, because you can adjust the frequencies you would like to address flexible, and also the Q, which is basically the slope of this peak, and of course the gain, and also you can move it around here, so it's really nice. And of course you have to engage it. Currently I don't use it, but yeah, that is a thing which is very nice to have, especially if you if you don't need it, you can at least have an eye on the highs and lows, because these are the things which are depending from the environment. Maybe if you're playing outside with concrete floors, you will have to cut the highs a little bit lower. And also if you're playing with through a front of house system with doesn't come with that much subs, then maybe you would like to cut some of the lows. And that is very nice to do it with the global EQ. And here you have the EQ block. And let's see if we have other EQs here. That's not the case, I think. So, of course, these boost pedals, they come with a kind of, or some of these boost pedals, they come with a tone or maybe an EQ bass middle treble control, I don't know, which you can use for the pre-gain control, so for boosting or for forming your input signal. But other than that, you have only here the high and low cut in the cap section, which is very, very nice to have. You have, of course, the bass, middle, and treble control in your amp block. And these, the frequencies which are addressed here, they vary from amp to amp. So yeah, you have to use your ear and listen what they are doing. They're supposed to model maybe the tone stack of the amp model. So, of course, I'd start to use these. By the way, here in this unit, the amp models sound in most cases really nice with everything at stock. At 12 o'clock maybe. Okay, and in the EQ block here, well, this is some without the EQ. As you can see now, I'm using the Hyper EQ 10-band graphic EQ. And you can see here you have some other EQs, which we'll have a look at in a second. Well, these are the bands, and yeah, 10-band graphic EQ is also very flexible because it has a shitload of bands. As you can see here, I dialed out these things here. And as I'm cutting here everything maybe above 5K, it doesn't do anything if you yeah, lower these things here, these 16K. And I think also 16K is not that important for guitar signal, and also the 31 Hertz here. So yeah, also the 63 Hertz and you can hear the 8K, but anyway, what is a little bit annoying here is that it's a little bit difficult to control this thing with the mouse, but you can do it with the mouse wheel. And also you can boost the overall signal here if you're dialing out lots of frequencies, then maybe the overall volume is dropped and you can compensate that here. If that is too complicated for you, maybe you could start to try out the other guitar related EQs here. So we have the guitar EQ1, which comes with only 5 bands, as you can see. Here you can add maybe some punch, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend to raise one fader that much and leave the other faders at 0 because as you can hear then it can get honky in this situation. So what I would rather like to do is maybe use also the neighbor faders here a little bit, and you can compensate this honkiness effect. And I think you know where these frequencies are for, but if not, then please check out my video, my EQ guide videos, where I was explaining which frequencies have which effect on the tone. So as you can hear, the EQ is very flexible here. And we have another guitar EQ, which is guitar EQ2, addressing different frequencies. So what I recommend to people always is first adjust your amp as good as possible with the bass middle treble control, the presence control if you have it. And then if that is not enough, we could start to use an additional graphic or parametric EQ. And which one to choose, it depends from the or on the tone stack of the amp. So with some of the tone stacks, maybe these frequencies will work better. With other tone stacks, the other frequencies from the guitar EQ1 will work better. So I'd recommend to try these out. And as you can hear, the 3K, it's somewhere in between maybe. Of course, the 4K and the 1.6 from the other EQ. But in my opinion here, the 3K is not needed. So maybe the 1.6K from the other EQ would be the better choice. If you raise the 1K here, for example, that is something, which is maybe also not necessary here in this kind of with this amp sound. The 100 Hz is always good for boosting some or for adding some fatness. It works with most tone stacks. So if you're lacking bass, then maybe you can try to boost the 100 Hz and choose the EQ that comes with the 100 Hz fader. But here in this unit, maybe I would stick with this EQ here if I don't want to use the 10-band EQ, because here you have the 125 Hz, which is also working, I think, fatten up your tone. So usually I would see these EQs like if I would like to or I would try out one of these first, so the 1 or 2. And with this sound I would use the 1, guitar EQ1. If it's not flexible enough, then I would choose the Hyper EQ, which is of course more flexible but a little bit more difficult to dial in. And also it doesn't mean that this fader here, the 125 Hz fader, has the same Q like in the EQ1 or EQ2. EQ1. Let's check out another patch. I am also using the 10-band EQ. And as you can see, you have bass EQs here, which you can also try out with guitars, of course. But you can see here you have these lower frequencies addressed, the 33 Hz, which is maybe not important for guitars. And therefore you have in the in the presence region you have only the 8K fader, which is maybe not that flexible for guitars, because usually 8K is a little bit high, so you would rather need something around the 4K if you would like to add some presence. So as the name says, this is maybe better for bass if you're playing bass through this unit. But one very important thing is the Mesa EQ. As you can see here, it's the Mesa 5-band graphic EQ, which comes with the Mesa Mark amp series. Because the Mesa Mark amp is the bass, middle and treble controls, and this amp series is basically pre-gain tone control. So it's, yeah, you use it to boost the signal, to boost the amp, and you have only this 5-band graphic EQ to shape your tone. So in most other amps, the bass, middle and treble controls are located after the distortion happens, but in the Mesa Mark series it's different. And here I have a patch where I used the Mesa Mark IV lead 3 channel, I think. And here I think they didn't model the pre-gain tone sticks. So in this amp model, the bass, middle and treble control is post-gain, unlike in the real amp. But also the Mesa EQ works pretty nice with these amp models. So if I turn that off, you can hear this honkiness because the Mark is a very mid-focused amp if you don't use the 5-band graphic EQ. And that is the reason why many people, or you see many people using this drastic V shape in this thing here when they're playing the Mark amp. Because if you don't set it, well, it's very honky. And yeah, here it's the V shape. I think you could use it even a little bit more, especially for recording. And I don't know what they're doing, what Mesa's doing with this EQ. It doesn't sound like, for example, I tried to replicate this thing with parametric EQs, but of course I don't know the cues which are implemented in that thing here, and it doesn't seem that these frequencies are correct here, and they're a little bit different, I think. But at least they sound a little bit different. But anyway, this thing is really nice, and it works great. It also works great with other amp models. And I recommend this to try it out. So let's go back to the Soldano. And let's try to use the Mesa amp here, for example. Yeah, we'll dial out maybe lower mids. You get a modern sound here, which is huge. The thing is also, let me turn off the delay. You don't have this annoying, these annoying percussive frequencies which you get with some of the other EQs. If you crank, for example, the 2K, where do we have it? Here. No, it doesn't have the 2K. Maybe the 1.6. Okay. Yeah, if you crank that, get a little bit too much of these this percussive like JCM 800 percussive sound, which is something which I don't like that much. Especially for leads, it's a little bit annoying. And the Mesa EQ doesn't have that somehow. So yeah, if you use here the 2K, you still have a lot of the tone. Nice attack, but not that annoying, maybe annoying percussive addition. That is something which I discovered also with other modelers. For example, the Mesa EQ in the AxeFx. It's also behaving like that. So that is also the reason why I think it's not somehow it's working different from the other EQs, or it doesn't address the 2K here, or maybe only in a very small range. And if you want to get this Petrucci-like singing lead tone without any kind of percussiveness, harshness, then I'd recommend this EQ. I think this is a secret to his tone, because of course he's using the Mesa Mark amp designed for him, but I think most of the tone comes from this EQ. So I think Petrucci is dialing out way more mids. It's too much highs here. So these are the EQs here in this Valeton thing, and yeah, they're quite flexible, I think. What I'm missing a little bit is a parametric EQ here, this EQ block. So if you're hearing this or watching this Valeton, maybe you can add one with the upcoming firmware update. You did a great job with the new stereo effects and the delay and also the reverb block. And I think if it would come with some kind of parametric EQ here, like maybe you can use the same like in the global EQ section, that would be really nice. And also if it's somehow possible to add a parametric EQ in one of these blocks here, maybe you could sacrifice one of the 1000 overdrive models for an EQ, that would also be great. Because in some situations, it's also nice to boost your amp just with an EQ, where you can choose the frequency. Other than that, yeah, it's I think it's very flexible, and yeah, what else can I say? So I hope this helps you to get the best out of your Valeton GP200, and of course, as always, please subscribe to my channel if you have. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Goodbye.